Hey, listener. We hope you've enjoyed Season 5 of RecLess as much as we have. We are wrapping up the rest of this season and putting together new episodes for Season 6. But as we wait, we are going to highlight some new episodes from a spin-off podcast, This Parks and Rec Life. As much as we believe in professional development of ourselves as Parks and Rec professionals, we also know that we couldn't do this without a supportive home life. We hope that you enjoy these conversations and that they spark meaningful conversations for you. These episodes will be released in our feed currently, but in the future will be released in their own podcast channel and on YouTube. We hope you enjoy them. Now on with the show.
My love is a place you can always call home.
Welcome to This Parks and Rec Life, the podcast where we explore what it's really like to live in the world of parks and recreation. Not just from the professional side, but from the people who support us every single day. Today's a special one. My name is Tom Venniro, one of the RecLess podcast hosts. Hey, Shane, we'll get there. Can't not say hello to Shane or someone if they say hi to me, but this is a special one for me. Right next to me, you see a beautiful face that you may have recognized on an episode of This Parks and Rec Life, I don't know, a few episodes ago. And yes, it's my wife, Melissa Salatino, and we are co-hosting this one together, making it, again, a little extra special for us. But not only for that reason is it special, we are here with a big part of my RecLess team and the creator of this wonderful podcast, Hannah Mize. Also with us, who had to say hello to me while I was doing my intro, is Shane Mize, one of my professional work friends and Hannah Mize's husband.
Shane, one of the better professional work friends.
Yes, one of the better. Right. So Shane and Hannah, how are you doing today?
We are good. Thanks for having us. Thanks for hosting. I'm excited about this today.
Yeah, she's already put me into our side room here. I've been too wired already. Excited for this.
We just had a conversation pre-show about safe spaces for children. Structure provides a safe place, and right. Safe places. Can you word that for us, Hannah?
Right. Whenever you have structure, it provides a safe place. And when you feel safe, you're able to have fun.
And that is why Shane is in his own room, not side by side with Hannah right now.
Safe space.
He's been put in a safe space so that he can have some fun with us today. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited.
You excited about this? You nervous?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Number 3.
That's right. Ooh. Dating all the way back to the spouses episode on RecLess.
Pro.
As we know, this wonderful podcast is all about the wins, the challenges, late nights, the early mornings, the losses, hard conversations, and most of all, the love that makes this career sustainable in what it is to all of us. So let's jump into another episode of This Parks and Rec Life and take a look from that perspective of the Mize household. Are you ready, Mizes?
Think so.
We'll see.
Okay. We've had some great episodes so far, by the way, Hannah. Wonderful job. So you've got a lot to live up to because some of the past guests have some amazing stories to share. And I know a lot of our listeners are excited to hear yours too. So let's start one before we get a little heavy. We're going to start heavy today and hopefully get light, and maybe we'll bounce up and down. But I have one that's Shane's so great with. I like to call him now. We've never actually said this on the RecLess podcast, but you are 100% the master of analogies. You realize that?
Yeah, I've had other people.
Analogies about everything. Some of them are amazing. Some of them I'm not sure I could get behind.
It's the way I think in my head that how can I break this down where someone understands it?
So, although this is not an analogy, it is a fun way to play on words. So I'd like for you both to describe your family dynamic with relation to public parks and recreation in one word. You can explain why you're picking that one word, but you're both in this Parks and Rec life. So, just give us that one word that you think of for your family dynamic and let us know why you feel that way about it.
For me, it's service.
I've always had some sort of connection with service as a kid, and as I was growing up. And service looks like a lot of different things to a lot of different people, for sure. But I feel a heavy weight at times what I'm doing, trying to make sure I'm serving the public correctly, doing it the right way, not even trying to do it Shane's way, or Hannah's way, or even my city manager way, but trying to make sure whatever community I'm in, doing it for that community the way I'm supposed to do it. And I think if I broke it down to one word, for me, it'd be service.
I think for me, it's flexible. With him being in service, Shane always has a saying that he doesn't know there's always a solution to every problem. And the wonder part of him is really fantastic at being able to sit and think through something and find a way to make whatever it is that we need to have to happen. So there have been times that it's not the way everybody else would do it. He can think outside the box in amazing ways, but we as a family have also learned how to be really flexible with that, whether it's we're moving to a different place or we're moving our schedule around, or we've just learned how to be really flexible. And our kids and I don't mind doing that either.
I think you have to be if you want to survive this field.
Mm-hmm.
You do, and we could relate. I could relate. Although I do know a little bit of Shane and Hannah's backstory, and it's definitely a little different than mine and Melissa or other professionals in the field. So, with your background and going from, and we don't even have to get into maybe the college or that part of the history, but in Texas, you've taken on several positions, and Texas is I hear, a large state.
That's what they say.
And because of that, you've had to move around a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're not really taking three or four positions that are 20, 30 minutes away, which allow you to stay in your home, your safe space. You have to always maybe uproot, or you have always uproot and created a new home, a new safe space. So that kind of ties into this question, and maybe this isn't the answer, but I could imagine that could be challenging. And so the first real kind of heavy hitter I want to get in today is, and we're going to start with Hannah. What do you think when you think about your spouse's career and Shane's career in Parks and Recreation? What has been the hardest part to you personally?
I think, honestly, probably moving. We were talking about this the other day, and Shane has taken several different positions that were not easy for our family to move into whenever that happened. And the first one was, we were in Fort Worth. We had 4 little bitty kids at the time. Gracie was in 4th grade. Landry was 3. And I was working full time. As a teacher, he took a job. We were in DFW, and he took a job in the Houston area, and he did it in January. And as a teacher, I was in the middle of my contract. I couldn't just leave. And so he moved ahead of us and lived in the Houston area for 6 months that year. And he would drive back and forth on the weekends. And then I was home with the kids during the week and doing all the stuff and daycare and getting everybody where they needed to be. That was really hard. And then we did the same thing again whenever we were in Houston and we moved to the Austin area. He had gotten a position in Hutto, and it happened in July, and it was Gracie's senior year of high school, Gibson's 8th grade year, Hayden's 5th grade year. Poor Landry was just kind of hanging out, finishing school. But we felt like it was too much to move everybody in that really pivotal time. And once again, this was like an outside of the box kind of thinking. We went through this a lot back and forth. But he once again moved ahead of us and lived there for a full year doing that job, and would come back on weekends.
Thought 6 months wasn't enough, so we thought, let's double it.
So for that full school year. So those two things, though, I think that was the hardest part on us as a family. I would not recommend that to everybody, but in the end, it was what we needed in order to be able to get us not only with his career goal, but with our family goal of being in the next spot. And I was reminded of it during that time period of, just because something's hard doesn't mean that it's not necessarily the thing that you're supposed to do. but it was really hard.
Yeah, there's a phrase that I always like to look at is, and it's very simple to to exactly what you just said. And if it was hard, or if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
And so what you chose is clearly a challenging path. And I guess a follow-up question to Melissa is, Melissa, would you be on board for that?
When she was talking about all of that, I was like, I dread the national conference, and I'm dreading the 3 days you're going to be gone with our three little
Wisconsin.
ones. I
Yeah.
can't imagine 6 months of that. Like,
It was tough.
2 week break was a lot. I was like, how many days are you taking off? Like, so
My youngest, when I was in Fort Worth, she wouldn't talk to me on the phone. She was furious with me.
Mhm.
So I left in January. Valentine's, I gave them all presents, and for Landry, like Hannah said, she was 3. I did one of those books where you read every page as you turn the page. It's your voice reading it,
Yeah.
and she carried it with her to daycare, home, sleep, bath, everywhere, and she just listened to my voice. But when I'd call, she
She's
wouldn't talk to
so
me.
mad.
And when I'd come home, most weekends I was able to come home. When I'd come home, her first day was just fury. And then she would, that Sunday she would be happy to see me, but I'd have to leave Sunday night or early Monday morning. And, then it was another week of
She was
where's
just
dad or
so
whatever.
mad. She
It's
lived
rough.
6 months of just being furious the whole 6 months. And
Yeah.
that was really rough. That was hard.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. To answer, I guess I didn't answer your question. Like, I guess the the benefits would have to be really, really significant for me to get on board with something for that. I think I would have to be a little bit selfish in that arena and be like, how is this going to benefit the family in order to make this happen? Like, is it going to mean I don't have to, do face painting anymore? Then yeah,
Sure.
Right.
get behind it where I'm not doing a second, job to make ends meet or to, for the fun stuff. But yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. So before we flip the script into the lighter side of that, just a follow-up question for Shane. How did based on what Melissa just said, the benefit, how did you internalize that? How that had to be challenging for you. I honestly, as we were talking through that and I was listening, when I think about being away from my kids for a fairly long period of time, and seeing them on the weekends is one thing, but
Right.
it's you're missing a lot, right? You're gonna miss a lot of those in between moments. How did you get through that? How do you navigate that when you were really in the thick of it?
It was tough. What was crazy was when I was going to Houston, my first weekend was Gracie's birthday, our oldest's birthday. And so I had to see her. Her birthday would have been that Monday, and I missed it because I had to be at work that Monday. So we saw her Saturday, and I drove up Sunday night. And the family friend I was staying with had their college daughter back. And so this is January. So this girl was still home from college. So I slept on a couch in a living room until she went back to college. And then I slept in her, you know, teenage room, with pink plushy dolls everywhere for about 6 weeks until I was able to find a place in Houston. And so it weighed heavy on me for sure. And there were definitely times that I thought I probably made the wrong decision, along the way. I can get really, and I think Tom even knows this about me, but I can get really routine oriented, and I can kind of batten the hatches down and almost block everything out. But I had a tough time blocking that out because every time I talked to Hannah, you could just hear in a lot of ways the desperation is probably an overused word, but there was a sense of real desperation in her voice. I mean, it was a long week. It was a long day. The kids are doing this. She's having to get them all bathed and fed. And there's not, if that's Monday, there's no relief coming for 4 days, when I potentially get there. And when I get there, I'm chaos, because I'm okay. Let's go to a pizza place. Let's have balloons, birthday parties, sugaring them up. And they're going to crash Monday or Tuesday of that next week. And Hannah's got to deal with it. But she's trying to make sure that I can be the hero that weekend. And so, those are really rough 6 weeks, and it kind of challenges you if you're thinking about ambition, career ambitions, and if it's worth it. And it was something that what's funny is when you talk to the kids, the time in Houston is some of their favorites. And a lot of my kids still consider themselves from Houston. And it was a bump in pay. It was a significant bump in pay for us. And it was
Which
a
is
title
why we did it.
change. And it was an opportunity to go. I'd been in a large city that, being a kind of a creative outside the box thinker is tough in any organization, especially the lower you are down. Like, you're hired to do a job, answer phones, greet people, cashier, whatever. And if you're outside the box thinker, they don't really want to hear your cool ideas on how to do this differently. They're like, no, just shut up, sit there, do your thing, And so you're at the lower end of this hierarchy pyramid, and you have the chance to jump up, from a center supervisor to a rec superintendent in a city that was interested in you. I had applied at 6 or 7 other cities, and they were the one that was interested in me. And so, it's one of those where it's like, okay, let's see if ambition can reach, the opportunities that we have, and we can see a bump in pay. But we knew it'd be a rough 6 weeks or 6 months, and it really was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd tell everyone that's the way to do it, and that we did it again was really tough on everyone, as
That
well.
was a rough year.
Yeah. And that had a living situation. The kids were older, but that had a living situation that was not ideal. And Hannah cried every time she saw me. And so it was one of those that it's just one of those things where, I felt like I had to take the opportunities when they were presented to me, and the whole family made a sacrifice for me to be able to do that,
Yeah, well, I think we can go deeper into this, and maybe we will if we have time to come back.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, the old traditional for better or worse phrase,
Yeah.
you certainly embody it when you make decisions and have discussions and sacrifices like that.
For sure. Yeah, that was those have been a couple trying times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
Yes,
right, let's get on the
definitely.
lighter side of things. All right, so Hannah, what has been the biggest perk or unexpected joy of being married into this profession?
I think when the kids were little, it was all of the different things. And we've talked about this before, like all the different events that they get to participate in and all of the different things that they've been able to do. I think as he's progressed through his career, there've been different stages of that, different things that we've been able to participate in and do. I would say the biggest perk at the moment has been being able to do all of this podcast, like all the people that I know, this network of people that I know that are in the Parks and Rec field, that honestly to me has been very beneficial, as far as I feel like I've sat under the tutelage and learned from all these people that are incredible leaders and are out of the box thinkers. And it's been kind of fun, like just being able to really hear about a different world and have a front row seat to stuff that I wouldn't normally have been able to have access to had he not been in this career first. So I think definitely perks with the kids and stuff whenever they were younger and events and stuff. But I have personally benefited from just the network of people that are available.
It's interesting. Every time Hannah drinks from one of the wine glasses that I had Melissa paint for her, I don't know, 10 years ago now, 8 years ago now, or whatever it was. I mean, it was a while.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think of just our relationship, that we've gotten to know each other through this industry, and, going to conferences and seeing each other, and how cool it is to have something made by an artist in a different part of the world that we'd have never had a connection with. We'd have never, you might've been doing it on Etsy or something else. I don't know, but we'd have never found it if you were. And so, like, to have this thing that someone took the time to make, it's like a secondhand smoke of what we're doing, right? It's this other thing that is somehow happened because of the thing we're doing. And it's, this industry has some really brilliant moments about it. Some really cool things there's a lot of sacrifice and struggle, and there's surely things you'd go back and change, but there's just some truly incredible, opportunities and moments from it as well.
It's so funny to talk to people friends that I have here that are local or family members or whatever. And you say, no, some of our very best friends are all over the country. Yep. We can't wait to see them. We can't wait to talk to them, and people are like, what? they're spread everywhere.
Yeah, it is. we've said this before, I'm sure, and if we haven't, then shame on us on the podcast. But the profession is full of, gosh, the most giving and
Mhm.
caring people. And I'm telling you, and I'm not trying to put down any of the other. We work with other professions, right? We're
Sure.
constantly either looking at a vendor or another department in a municipality, or we look at our spouses' jobs and we see how the interactions are with those individuals. It is wild. And if you put yourself out there, whether it's a state or national stage, you will make some of the most rewarding and really special bonds and relationships in this profession that I never expected. And so I'm glad you brought that up because my son came to me today. I'm not really sure where this even came from. He came up to me today with a keychain, and it was a braided
I was hoping
keychain.
it was a book I got him,
He
but
did not. He did not come up to us with that book. Those are deep, deep down in the whatever you
It's
want
like
to call it,
naughty. Look.
the naughty children's
hookers
book.
and blow.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. We're gonna keep those away. That said, he can't read yet, so we're safe for at least another year. He
Oh, that's
came up
great.
to me with the braided in our brand, RecLess brand colors,
Mm.
red, green, and blue. I'm sorry, where did I come with the
Red.
red?
Yeah.
What is it? Green. It was a
You were
couple
you were
different
going
greens and
you were
blues.
going Americana on us
Yeah, I
for
don't
a
know
minute.
what I was going red, white, and blue. I'm thinking the
Yeah.
250th right now. All right, so the green and multiple greens and blues. It was like this boondoggle-ish braided, and then on the
Oh, boondoggle.
end
I
of
think
Yeah.
it,
Gabby got it for us, right? Gabby
No,
or
I think
Katie?
I think it was
Katie Mack
Katie.
made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was and it had a picture, and he goes, "Is this you, Daddy?" And I go, "Yeah, that is me." And Katie McNamara makes that. Yeah, it's that was certainly one of the most unexpected parts for I think for me too. Is just making these relationships and so I want to kind of pivot off of that. Is yeah, there we go. There's
Koozie with my
Yeah.
Shane's.
AI face on it.
Yep, I love that. That's one of the coolest little items and trinkets. And honestly, that's where I was going with that. I feel that some of the thoughtfulness that has gone behind these relationships and some of the relationships, it's not like where we talk every week with
Right.
all of these individuals, but the thoughtfulness that goes behind some of the actions is just second to none. So I'm really glad you said that because that's a really special part about this and definitely something that I feel is unexpected where you might expect the typical, yeah, we're going to go to an event, you're going to get to whatever it is, pet a goat
Right.
in Texas.
That's
So
right.
going and pivoting to that, Hannah, you mentioned kind of the joy that you've been able and even just the benefits you've received from being a part of it. Go all the way back to the beginning, or I would assume it's the beginning, and where you had a moment and you said, wow, this job is just different than most. I'm sure there was a moment where it just kind of clicked to you. And I don't know that people think about that very often, but I'd love to know what was that moment where you kind of said that and what happened? How did that change your view on the profession and the relationship?
I think going back to whenever we were in Fort Worth, he was at fire station first, and
Which
fire
is a
station was,
community center that was an old fire station. They turned it into a community
yes.
center.
So, and then it was literally called Fire Station Community Center, still there today. And he used to run.
Rough part of town.
It was a really rough part of town. There were a bunch of kids that were there that they had never been out of that little zip code in the very small area
Born
of
in that
just,
zip code, across the street from the rec center was the hospital. Like, just never been out. Yeah.
they'd never been out. And that's
Not on a vacation, nothing.
right.
They've
And
never
it's
been out of
crazy,
that
like in
spot.
Fort Worth, that you've never even been like to Dallas or to a little, down the road to go to Six Flags or something. I mean, it was a very small area. And he was responsible for handing out lunches. The kids came to summer day camp, not for like because they were being dropped off for daycare or something because their parents were working. Like they came to summer day camp because they were getting food there every day. And there was a huge responsibility of taking care of all of that food and making sure that there were enough lunches for everybody that showed up every day. I think that was the first time that I was like, okay, well, this is more than just running games. And then fast forward a few years, we were still in Fort Worth, and the first of the hurricanes hit that were really bad in Louisiana. It was before Katrina. Weren't there
Katrina was
two that
first.
happened before?
Ike and Gustav happened after Katrina.
Okay.
So I did Katrina
So-
and I did it at the convention center. Then Ike and Gustav happened at the rec center after.
Yes. And during that time, Fort Worth turned into a shelter. They were literally bussing in all of these people that were from Louisiana, and they were coming to Fort Worth. They were at the convention center. They were setting up cots. They were handing out food. And it was at that point that I was like, okay, this is much, much bigger than just we're running sports leagues or it's a day camp or something like that. I mean, he was in charge of all of those. Yeah, I think those two events were pivotal in that.
Yeah, those are great examples. And this is nothing against, a school system or another business, but I think what you said so well there is that Parks and Recreation does everything when you think about it. And the reason I use school as an example is because a typical school day, you have a teacher who's doing great work and trying to get these children from day one of the school year to day three, whatever, 200 and how many days are in a school?
Usually 186.
Thank you.
Something like
We got
that.
teachers, so I was looking for some help there. And let alone from the morning that they step into school to that evening, right? It's a full school year. You've also got administrators who are doing what they're doing, whether it's working through parents or through teachers. Then you have the lunch crew, and that's their job to serve lunch. You're saying that at summer camp, and I know this because we've done this, all of a sudden your counselors become food handlers and they have to get certified and they have to understand how to do all that. That's a very unique part about this profession for sure. And one that maybe, I don't know, Shane, do you feel that we educate individuals well enough on that for those who are either coming into the field or who have a starter job?
No, I don't think so. And I don't know if you could. I remember at fire station, I had been there a couple months and I had a bad day and I thought I lost a bunch of the kids. Like I just didn't handle a situation the way I should have. I remember going home to Hannah that night and said, I think I lost them. Like these kids don't have a lot of other places to go. The Boys and Girls Club is a spot where it's kind of breeding, at least in our section, not bespeeching everybody's, but was kind of a breeding ground for gang groups. And so they couldn't go there. There's really no other place for them to go. We were the only rec center in their little area. And, that was tough, just trying to figure out how I was going to win over their trust again in some ways. And I was able to do it. But I don't know how you would have taught it. Like at some point you have to have incredible empathy for the people you're serving. And if you're not an empathetic person, I think it's going to be a tough task for you to understand the plight of the people that are going, whatever it is, whether it's your camp program or they're afraid to swim and you're trying to teach them how to swim. So you're trying to get them used to the water so you can teach them not to be afraid of it so they can actually swim in it or whatever it is. If you don't have empathy, I think caring about someone's plight is going to be really difficult.
No, I hear you. I appreciate you both sharing that. A little while ago, you did talk about some situations where you were moving and how that impacted the family. And so for the next kind of 2 or 3 questions, I do want to shift into your family dynamic a little more. So Melissa, why don't you kick us off with that?
Before we do that, I have like a quick follow-up question. Hannah, so when I'm trying to describe Tom's job to other people, because it's such a odd profession, do you ever have a hard time? Thank God for the Parks and Rec show, because I'm always saying he's Ron Swanson, but he's got Leslie Knope's personality. Like, do you ever have a hard time trying to explain to non-rec people what your husband actually does?
Yeah, I get yes and no. I mean, now that he's the director,
Right.
he's the director of Parks and Rec. Oh, so and mainly it's like with little kids. But what, that little park you like to play down, play
Yeah.
out. He's over that, So I mean, it's that. Although, in all honesty, I'm not around so many people anymore that I have to stop and explain it. That's probably not a very good
Sure.
answer. But I think for the longest time, just explaining to our parents. I don't think,
Yeah. I've said it on the podcast,
I
my
mean,
dad
like,
did not grasp the concept for a long
I,
time.
I don't think he still does, honestly. I think he's probably, he's like, I
I,
don't know. He's kind
I
of over the
transitioned out
study.
of coaching, and he used to just tell people, I think he coaches, but for a city, I don't really understand it. Like, because I was still doing
Yeah,
athletic leagues and things like that. He's like, I think he still coaches. I don't know. And so I think now he might understand it a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's a fairly new job.
it is.
Legally, or a nursing job, or even a military job, or some sort of public safety has been around 150 years. This industry has probably been around 40 something years,
Yeah.
really, in what it really currently does in some capacity. And so I think there's a whole generation of older people like, what do? They play all day, so
Yeah. Because even like
I,
with my
yeah,
generation, like I said, like thank God for the show because they
yeah,
still don't seem to get it. I'll like say it and they're like, what? And then I'll have to use the show as an example. And they still kind of get it, but there's so much satire and exaggerations in that show that like
sure.
that's not even like always a great representation of what's happening there anyways.
right.
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
think probably the hardest part is explaining the scope,
Yeah.
of back to, you guys do so much. It's more than just running a sports league. It's more than just being over the fields. It's the parades, and it's the social programs that run out of those facilities. And I mean, there's just so much of it. The scope is very large.
Yeah, we have
You're right over there.
our little multi-poo. We have a movie being filmed in one of our parks, or a TV show. It's Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson's show, and they're in our park. And those guys aren't in our park. Obviously, they're filming somewhere else, but they're storing their crap in our park. And
Oh,
we're dealing with that production crew and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Meanwhile, we had in our creek system some water plant illegally dumped, you know, tons of sewage waste, and then I've got a water tower I've got to light for Christmas. And then we've got a menorah lighting that people are worried about just due to the political climate. And none of that is a camp, an after school program, or running a facility. All those things I'm heavily involved in at any one time, trying to make sure all those things. And so really the gamut of what Parks and Rec looks like. It's a lot more than just Parks and Rec. It's a lot of stuff in there. And I think a lot of people have a tough time understanding, really wrapping their head around
you just
all of
led it
that.
into our next question pretty perfectly. So,
Sweet.
extreme schedules, holidays, emergencies, late nights. How have you had to redefine what normal looks like for you and your family?
I think we were lucky. I was coaching and working at the bookstore at Hardin Simmons, and then working at UPS. I was doing preload. I was loading stuff up, and so I've always had these incredible shifts or late night shifts. And then when I transitioned from that to campus rec in grad school,
Those were
um,
crazy nights. You'd be out till 1 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, because we'd be programming intramurals 9 to midnight, basketball
Yeah.
leagues or whatever. And so Hannah's never seen me have like this traditional 8 to 5 job where I then had to tell her, hey, all of a sudden I'm not going to be home nights or weekends. And we had kids through all this. And so we had kids in college, we had kids in grad school. And so I would say that we were fortunate in some ways that we got into this crazy schedule young, and we did it with kids young. And so like
Kind of just
there's
grew into it together.
there was only 9 months that it was just Hannah and I. I mean, we got pregnant pretty quick, and so it's one of those where it wasn't like we had 3 years of time where it was just us and we had this time, and we then had to share it with work and share it with kids. It's just always kind of been chaos has been
Yeah.
always right around the corner of whatever we were doing. It was a nearby neighbor in any capacity that we were doing in some ways. And so I don't know if it's ever really been that difficult. It's never been easy, but I don't know if we've ever just thrown our hands up in the air and been like, man, I wish we could go back to this different time, because we didn't have that time.
Yeah. I think we've always been really um, creative at being able to carve out time for us, or to carve out family time in the middle of all of that. So when we were in grad school, at the time we only had one. Gracie was it just she was the only one that we had at the time. But we didn't ever have time for a date night, and we didn't have any family in the area, so there was nobody to keep kids. So we would meet for lunch, and there was like this little tea garden in the back of an antique shop that was our favorite place to go, and we would go there for lunch, and we had lunch dates. Or we would when we were in Missouri City and we had kids all over the place, and once again, I mean, a babysitter for 4 kids is astronomical. You might as well not go out. So we would sneak out back and put a movie on for the kids and in the living room. And we would go out and sit in the pool, and he would smoke a cigar and I would drink a glass of wine, and we would just sit and talk. Like, we have always been really intentional about finding times for us to be able to connect, or for us to be able to connect with our kids in not traditional times, not traditional schedules.
Well, that's really great. And I know you've shared that a little bit with us before of how it's a lunch date instead of a dinner date, because as obviously the responsibilities grow, so do some of the scheduling demands. You're at more meetings, or you're staying a little bit later, and Shane's general schedule is different than maybe my general, and even yours, Hannah. I always really find it fascinating when I'm emailing and texting people from different time zones. Texas specific, Chris Nunes and Hannah respond to me or get a hold of me before I'm ready to get a hold of them. Shane, I'm lucky if I hear back by noon. Lucky. Sometimes it's days. So, the way that you found
most of the time it's days.
Yeah, most of the times, yes. But even on those days, after several days or weeks, it's afternoon.
Yeah.
It's certainly not going to be at 8 in the morning where I thrive, or 7 in the morning where I thrive, or whatever it might be. So I really appreciate that, and I think that's a really great way. It's a really great message for people to understand that these schedules are just not normal, and you're not going to be able to have you get home every day at 5 o'clock, and you get to have that little time together where you maybe connect, or even the dinners with the kids where you're sitting all together at the table. It's just not necessarily always going to be that way. And hopefully individuals out there can take a little bit. We've talked about this before, Shane, and that's comparison being the thief of joy.
Absolutely.
We can't compare ourselves. We were just talking about our neighbor. I mean, my neighbor's awesome. He's out there. He turned his Christmas lights off. Ours are still running. He just took down all of his Christmas decorations. Ours are definitely up. They will probably be up for another
couple of weeks.
Yeah. Why not?
It's still having them on.
Yes. And they're on, and we're loving it. The kids are loving it too. So no way am I saying this is a slight to him, but the comparison piece, it does me no good to compare. But I do say and think about it, and I say, okay, well, he just had a baby. Yeah. He's our age. It's their first, and the baby is 4 months, maybe.
Doesn't even know, does he? Doesn't even know.
Exactly. Yeah. And the job is totally different than the jobs that we have.
Right.
So it is what it is. And
Hannah and I, for years in our relationship, talked about how we would not fall into the should trap, where someone's doing this, so we should do that. Or we're seeing everyone says they're doing this, saving this, going to this trip, so we should do it as well. Should is not a word that really, anyone that knows me knows I'll curse all day long. Should's the actual S word at our house. Like, I don't think it's something that we didn't support it. Our kids, we had no time for it. Well, blah, blah, blah is doing this, so we should do that too. Nope. That's not how we do. That's not how we're going to live our life. You can do it because you want to do it. You can do it because you're passionate about it. You're not going to do it because Janet's doing it or Janet's family's doing it. So now we are having to go do this thing. No. Our life's going to be different. Hannah was a teacher for a long time, and so that was a different schedule. And obviously Parks and Rec was a different schedule as well. But should is not going to be any reason why we're making a decision, whether it was investment or health or a trip or something with our family. Should was not the reason we were doing.
Yeah.
And I also think it's so important to remember that in every stage, there's different things that you do. So the things that we did when the kids were little are different from what we did whenever they were in elementary school or high school, or even what we're doing now. Like, it goes back to that flexible word at the beginning, right? This is a fluid situation that is always changing, and it depends on what his schedule is like and what my schedule is like. And if you're trying to create this very rigid thing where you're never allowing any leeway, that can be really hard too, because things just don't stay the same and the stages don't stay the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you touched a little bit about what I was going to ask next, which was about the children piece. And that's not for everybody.
Don't have
Not
them.
everybody, not everybody's
They're
going
the
to have.
worst.
Yeah, don't have. So not everybody's going to have children, and so I think you did a great job answering that. I'm actually going to skip past that. But what I can say from a perspective piece is, I was going to ask you about how you made it work, because I feel like I'm drowning having a third child here and balancing with work.
Figure it out. Like,
And you've mentioned it, chaos, and I agree, everything's chaos all the time. I think the job is chaos. It's not the job is chaos. It is constant chaos. It is constant fires. It's ironic you worked at a fire station, because you literally are putting out fires all the time. So the job, if you can thrive in that chaos, for me sometimes I don't want that chaos to be home, because I know that's what I'm facing every morning when I walk in, right? So with the kids piece, I also feel that I'm 42, and you had mentioned that you had children at a very, very young age.
Very young. Yeah, we had all of our kids by the time we were
26.
26. I was going to say 28. Yeah. Were
I
we
think
26?
maybe it
wasn't
was
even married
it was
yet.
28.
Good for you guys.
But
Wow.
you know what I found, what's funny is it's brain fucking you on the third one or whatever, Tom, because like I thought when I had the second one, I think when we had the second one, I didn't have it. I realized that the first one, you think you can affect everything. The whole nature versus nurture thing, you think everything you're doing is nurture. I can make this kid be this Supreme Court justice or whatever. I can will this. And then you have the second one, you're like, oh no, it's all nature. You plant two sunflowers in the same bed, you give them the same amount of sun and the same water. One grows towards the sun and one doesn't. And that's just how life goes. And it's the same thing with these kids. At some point, I think you could probably dictate a percentage. I don't know if that's 25%, 15%, 10%, but what I've learned is we've never treated our kids any differently, and they are vastly different. There's obviously some similarities as well, but we didn't seek those similarities or differences and try to cultivate them. They have cultivated those things themselves. And so like we would eat together as a family because that was important at one time. And now it's not important at one time, but it's not important for the same reasons. Like I want my kids at 18 and 19, the ones that still live at home, to know how to make a meal for themselves. So the first time they're making a meal for themselves, they're not out on their own in an apartment somewhere and not knowing how to do it. And so now we don't eat because Hannah and I don't eat a lot of dinner. And we want the kids to learn how to either heat something up or create something from scratch. And so you wouldn't do that with them when they were 3. Sure as hell do that with them when they're 18. You know, it's just a different thing. But like, I used to think I could dictate where they would go and where they would land. And I realized after the second one that wasn't the case. And they're all going to be pretty individual and they're all their own way, you know? And so I guess I just at some point stopped stressing about what I thought was impacting them at home. I gave them the time I could give them. I tried to make it as quality as possible, whether it was 10 minutes before they went to bed or 2 hours, or they got to ride with Santa one year in the Santa parade. You know, they got to be in the truck with Santa. You just tried the best you could to give them the really cool moments when you had it, and just know that they're pretty resilient and they'll figure it out on their own, you know.
You juggle it, right? Your second one gives you a run for your money, right?
That second one shows you that it's all a shit show. They're just
It is.
they're just doing what they want to do.
I remember, well, I mean, like, not to put like rosy colored glasses on it, because it was hard when they were little. It was quite chaotic. There were lots of times it was quite chaotic. But I remember one time I was talking to my grandmother, my granny, and she was a fantastic woman. She raised 5 kids, worked outside the home, she did all the things. And I remember I was telling her, I was like, this is really hard. Like, I don't think I can do this. These kids are just everywhere. And she said, her advice to me was, I remember whenever my kids were little, I kept always looking to the next stage. Like, oh, whenever they're 3, it'll be so much easier. Or when they're in school, it'll be so much easier because they'll be able to do whatever. And she goes, and I finally realized that it's all just a stage. And each one of those stages brings its own particular set of challenges and set of differences. And you can end up wishing the whole thing away. You just have to figure out how to stay present in the moment. And also, I remember at one point, I was kind of huffing and puffing. I was doing something and Shane was like, calm down. It was like, why are you acting like this is so crazy? He was like, you're actually really strong. You're doing all of this. It's fine. He was like, stop acting like it's the worst thing in the world. Just do it. And I was like, okay, we can. I mean, it's a mindset and just a perspective of you can do it. If you just take a deep breath and just be present in the moment, you can do it.
Something we talk to the kids a lot is, did you have a bad day or did you have a bad 5 or 10 minutes and you made the whole day bad because of it? Like, you had one interaction in a hallway, that was adversely affected you. A kid said something, a book hit you, you bumped into the water fountain or whatever. Did you let it ruin the rest of your day? Well, then that's on you. You know what I mean? Like, figure that stuff out. Don't make a mountain out of every molehill in some ways. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things.
Let me hit this one. I want to actually, you both kind of talked through this situation of the family dynamic, and I think you asked us this question, and I'm sure that maybe we talked about this with Robin and Chris too. And the question being, if you can go back to the beginning, what would you do or say to each other or put in place sooner to help really navigate everything we just talked about? And I want to actually make it a little more concise, though. What's just one for each of you, one ground rule that you would have put in place for either the family or the other individual, if you can go all the way back, that you may have in place now, but 20 years ago, it wasn't something you thought about?
I would have prioritized our health better. Like Hannah had a health scare a couple years ago because of high blood pressure, and I at that time wasn't as healthy either. I feel like we're healthier now and we handle some of the stresses and struggles a little better. I think there's some really good things that happen when you take some time for yourself, whether that's a walk or sometimes mental health is just watching ratchet TV, as our good friend Rosalind would say, and having a nice glass of wine. And so whatever type of wisdom we're projecting on parenting or whatever, or lack of wisdom we're projecting, that didn't come to us day one. Like, a lot of this stuff came over the years, and I would have loved to have said from day one to Hannah and Shane, kids are resilient. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about a lot, but I would definitely worry about your health. I would make sure that you're trying to be as healthy as possible. That's how you're going to get through the stress a little better. It's how you're going to get better sleep. That's how you're going to show up the next day as a better human being for your family and for your employees. And so that's probably what I would have told him if I could have done it sooner.
What about, would you have told that to yourself with all the monsters? Or
Still drinking. Hannah, where's that note from my cardiologist? He says my heart's fine. I have it on the fridge somewhere here, I think.
Oh, it does. I don't know where it is. I really like.
I had him put a note on my EKG gram that the monsters were not affecting my heart. I had it for Hannah somewhere.
You did. You have it there. I know. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. As far as like going back to the beginning, I think, this came along much later, but I think that the working genius was kind of a turning point of giving permission to appreciate and embrace our different personalities and to not fight against it and to completely understand how we fit together. I think it would have been really great if that could have been one of the first things that we did, because we butted heads a lot. I mean, y'all have talked a lot about working genius. Shane's a wonder or invention, like way over here on this side, and I am an enablement to tenacity. What? I mean, we are literally opposite. And so I would get really frustrated with him that I'm trying to get things done. I need for him to come do these things, and he doesn't want to engage or think about it at all at the time. And so that we had a lot of conflict,
Yeah, a lot of conflict
resolution over
over
those
stupid
kinds
shit.
of duh.
I hadn't hung up this framed photo yet, and then after a week of eating shit about it, I hung it up and it's hanging to the side and I'm like, it's up. That's what you wanted. I don't care if it's freaking straight or what, but now what she does is when she wants something from me, her tenacity side, she puts it in front of me where I can't avoid it without browbeating the shit out of it. So it's like, here's the hammer, the nail, and the frame, and it's right by the bed. When you wake up, it's like, okay, I get it now. I got to go
You do it
this
on
today.
your own time, but I want it done. But yeah, I think honestly, probably like the working genius is it. That
He gave
really
us
was
permission to be like, oh, that's why she is the way he is. That's why he is the way he is. Yeah, that working genius was huge for us.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think for me, if I were to go back like even a couple years, it would be speak up. Yes, I want him to like realize and read my mind and like notice and know what I need. It's not like that's not going to happen. Just say something when you need something. Like this past week when we're trying to get used to this new schedule. Now we've got a baby. Like I was able to handle it all in the mornings by myself, getting the kids ready. And the first day was fine, and then the second day was hard. And I said to him, I'm like, I need you to step up and do something else in the morning. Like he's really like gotten used to this. Like, okay, I can just get myself ready, and the kids are ready to go, and I take them to school, and that was fine. Like when it worked, but so the next morning he was great. Like I said something, and he was on Maisie, getting her up, getting her changed, and I was luckily that day things went smooth and I could come up and grab her. But the fact that he was like already there and preparing to take that on was like huge. So just speaking up and saying something, I think is really like, I wish I would have done that a lot sooner instead of just being like, well, he should know like what I need and he should know like and realize that say something like,
yeah.
There's that shit again.
Yeah.
We're terribly, I mean, the things that drive us insane about our kids, they're, selfish little beings, and you got to tell them, no, you have to share. You can't do this. You got to be nice here. We go into these relationships terribly selfish too. We've created our own patterns and what we're used to. And, we go from two entities to one, and there's this transition where you've got to have conversations. And it's funny, even 20 years in, 25 years in, you're like, oh, we still should be talking about this or that, and we're not. So.
Yeah.
All right. What do you enjoy the most about watching your spouse do what they do, whether it's an event, a meeting, a tough decision, or a leadership moment?
I love to see the perspective that other people see Shane in. So, or the other perspective that people view Shane. I love to go to events and not only see what he's doing. You can tell somebody about it, but whenever you actually experience it and you see what it's like firsthand, it's just a totally different experience. And I also really love to see the way that his staff or the other people that are attending things also interact with whatever it is that he's put out there. And it's interesting because the person that you love the most is different whenever they're out and about in the community than they are at home. So it's like a peek into being able to see this different side of them that you wouldn't see if you just only see them at home. So I think that's always my favorite part of like being able to see like the different layers of his personality and how he is, and we can talk about it, of like, I really like this thing, or I really feel strongly about this or that. But to be able to see that in action, I think is one of my favorite parts. And to be able to see the way he interacts with like different colleagues and stuff too. It's just always, it's fun to see those different layers.
Yeah, that's a really great answer, Hannah. And I just from thinking about that, Shane, you could probably relate, and I'm sure everybody could relate to this of what they feel like at work versus what they feel like at home or whatever. But yes, the way that the relationships and how people respond or what you're tasked with doing, whether it's leadership or not, the way that changes when you go maybe to a family gathering
Mhm.
or a high school reunion. I don't know. I just picked something out of a hat. Or trip vacation Tom is very similar to work Tom. There's like the structure,
There you
Oh,
go.
the
okay. All
structure
right.
of
That's fine.
planning and making sure we're staying. But then home and family time, it's just a different feel, and I'm sure you get to see that. It's weird. It's a weird feeling, I think, for me going into those different doors and feeling like my role has just changed. At some point, I almost feel like it doesn't change, but I get why it has to. Shane, you always talk about that you're the same everywhere you go. That said, there are totally different responsibilities that when you walk into your office
Sure.
versus when you're walking into a Hannah family gathering. What does that feel like from you for you on that perspective, given what you do on a day to day?
I think I try to read a room and figure out what it needs and then be that in that space. And I have, Hannah and I have talked, and you and I have talked about this, Tom. I have incredible anxiety. My dad has anxiety. His mom had anxiety. Her father had anxiety. It's either something that's passed along or we're the argument for like an anti-evolution because we haven't figured it out. Our family is struggling with it. And Hannah came into the office a couple weeks back and I was talking to my boss and my boss was worried about me in some ways. And I was telling my boss that I think I would be on anxiety medication if it wasn't for Hannah. Like she's kind of my medication.
Sure.
She's kind of my
Yeah.
spot that brings me back down. Because everyone else that's had this in my family has had to be medicated and I am not. But I don't feel always comfortable in this skin that I'm serving in. Like and Hannah and I talked when we were walking. Um, I I can be a pretty creative, visionary thinker, and I don't like to stand in front of anybody and talk about anything. Like I just don't like to do it. I don't like to stand in front of my 45 employees and talk to them. And I don't like stand in front of 450 people and talk to them. And so, I'm a pretty introverted person in a really extroverted industry, and that's really tough. And so there's a lot of different things that um, I definitely struggle with, and that happens when I walk into Hannah's family situation. Whether we were just up there recently, and I'm trying to figure out are the nieces and nephews getting enough attention and I'll go do that? Or is there a conversation over here that needs my help? And so I feel this anxiety all the time trying to be this spot, be this thing. Um, and I don't know if I've ever really gotten comfortable with it. I just have that's just been the normal for me in some ways. And I have always I guess I've always thought it's normal, what I feel. Um, but yeah, I think it's incredibly difficult um, to just be this one thing and let the water, like some rock in a river, let the water wash around you. Like for me, I almost feel like I have to be very pliable in different spots. Um, but I am trying to be true to who I am in those spaces as well. And I don't want work Shane and dad Shane and brother-in-law Shane to feel so totally different that if someone from work ran into my brother-in-law at the airport, that it sounded like they knew two different people. Like I try to be consistent in that way, but I would say that they probably all say there's something totally different about me in those roles that the others don't see.
All right. What does support actually look like when things aren't going well at work? Not the Instagram version, but the real one.
We've talked about this before of
We have a
um,
lot.
yeah, of
It's
how
the
do
Rocky
you
movie, right?
it is, yes.
It's the Rocky movie. Yeah.
And I'll say this, and then you can explain the Rocky movie part of it, because I think this is definitely something that we've had to do before. Is, Shane's been sued twice by employees that had said there were like racial things involved. I mean, it was a huge thing. He's been sued. He's us being having to moving away from each other was really rough. That was really hard. There was a situation whenever he was gone for that year that every single Friday he thought that he may be fired. Like, he would call home and would be like, "I still have a job." And I'm like, "Okay," because like the house is on fire around us, and then we're also worrying about, are you going to even still be employed week to week? There was another situation where, I mean, he was trying to put a bond through and the master plan for a while, and it kept getting rejected. Like, it was, things weren't going well, right? There have definitely been times whenever things have definitely not gone well, and to be able to still create a safe space, and to not always be the one that I'm like, "Oh, it's okay. They just don't know who you are. Everything's going to be," that sometimes that can come across as really fake whenever it's just really hard, whenever you're just having to say, "Okay, well, whatever happens next, I still love you. It's still going to be okay." We've definitely had to talk through these types of things. And Shane, I'm sure you can expound on that.
Yeah. I mean, y'all remember at one time American Idol, right? And American Idol
What's that?
was, yeah, right? It's this. Can I get a microphone? Some of the biggest episode watches of American Idol were the fails, right? Where this guy or this gal would go up and sing, and for the first time their whole life, they actually heard they weren't good. Their parents told them they were good. Their friends told them they were good, and they were lying to them. They weren't good. Maybe they were okay. Maybe they were good for the church band or whatever school, but they didn't put that into context. And the result of that was they got to be exposed as not being a good singer, not in the comfort of friends in some safe cocoon, but in front of everyone in the whole fucking world.
Right.
And it's replayed on YouTube years and years later because no one said, "No, I don't think you're doing it well." And there's this scene in Rocky. Rocky's talking to his wife, Adrian, and she's up. It's like down a stair shaft. And she at one point says, "You can't win. You can't win this fight." And he just says, "Yeah, I don't think I can." And there's this real moment where he's like, "I'm going to stand there and I'm willing to stand in front of him and see if he's willing to stand in front of me. And we'll see who can beat shit out of you. But you're right. I can't win." And Hannah's always been good about me coming back and saying, "I don't know if I can do this." And her being like, "Okay, well, then what's that look like?" And I don't need someone to lie to me and tell me I can do it. And really, I can't. And I'm exposed in front of a council or 75,000 people. But it's like, okay, what does that look like? What does you not being able to do it look like? Can someone on your team do it? Can you find a partner in the community? Can you put this on the shelf until you can do it? Like, those types of conversations. And those are important. I don't think someone blowing smoke up your ass is the greatest thing for your career. When ultimately it's nice in the moment, but you're going to be exposed. And I would rather my wife tell me that I need to work on something than it be apparent to everyone in a council chamber.
I'm so glad you explained that because I had no idea what the connection was. I've never seen that movie. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. Shane's really good. He could talk about goats eating grass and somehow connect it back to this conversation right now.
That's right.
So, listen, I want to have some fun with you both. So I have one more hard hitter,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna play a game.
Okay.
Just-
Again.
Oh boy.
We're gonna bring some reckless rapid fire, but it's a new game. It's not rapid fire. We're gonna bring it
Okay.
here to this Parks and Rec Life. So, last question plays really, really well off of what you all just talked about. And when this job is as demanding, or exhausting and overwhelming. And I'm not just saying for the professional, for the support system.
Mhm.
What helps you remember that you chose this Parks and Rec life together?
Mm. You know, it's different for me in different moments. Like there are moments right before an event starts or a parade starts, or a couple years ago, to make our presentations better to council and to kind of show the why a little bit better, I started hiring a professional photographer instead of relying on just me or my staff taking photos, because I would never capture the right moments. And then you created this magic event that people attended and felt loved and felt seen, and your council might not have attended. And so then you're showing them in a council presentation, and it's an iPhone photo of this event and it's blurry, or maybe it's even clear, but it's not a great representation of what people felt at that event. And I think sometimes when I go back and look at the professional photographer's moments and what he's captured, and the joy of a kid seeing the Easter egg bunny, or a dad um, winning the Steinholding competition, and the kids all around him cheering, and then he dumps it on his head afterwards because he was the winner or whatever. It's like, yeah, that for me. That's all I need. That's why I'm doing what I do. It's that beautiful impact that we can have on a community that I just don't think anybody else can have. There's just very few people, very few other spots, that can really have the impact that Parks and Rec can have on a quality of life.
I think, yeah, I think the pictures are a great example and great answer. And I think also just,
Thank you. She
you're
said my answer
welcome.
was great. I don't know if y'all
It
heard that.
was. It was a good answer. I know. All of a sudden, I'm like, what do we do? I, uh, I mean, most recently, because this is the stage that we're in, right? This is where I'm very, very present. I think going to things like our last RecLess meetup, whenever we're in there, and I mean, because
Talk about
this
chaos.
100% that was chaos, but 100% this thing that we're doing is this has made an impact on people.
Yeah.
I mean, we're able to see the impact on our community, but also on other parks professionals that, hey, this is worth it. Like, this is hard. These are hard conversations, but this is worth it. You're making an impact. I hope that people are able to see themselves in the things that we're talking about, and they're able to connect. I mean, I think, yeah, the connections and just being able to keep pushing forward, that this is worth it. This is the where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, you both did really really nice job of basically pulling two separate perspectives into saying that this life, whether it's the night meetings or
Mm-hmm.
the times away or moving away from your children for 6 weeks or 6 months or a year, impact.
Yeah.
It's impactful. The job that we're doing is impactful, and you said it really, really well. So I appreciate that. I want to now have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
Everybody got to hear the hard hitters, and now let's lighten it up a little bit. First, before we play the game, you asked us this question. So this is a fun question before the actual game. Shane, just for you.
Okay.
If Hannah was to enter the field or was already in the field, where do you see her? And I believe I talked about how for me it was pretty simple that Melissa's creative eye, her artistic eye, and our lack of in our department of having maybe a dedicated marketing team, it would be great. She would
Yeah.
be an amazing fit. So, how about you for Hannah?
Yeah. I mean, Hannah has done fine arts for a long time. And so, there are these fine arts coordinator positions that are starting to pop up. You're starting to see them more and more, where um, it's highlighting, painting, and other types of dance type classes that you'd be coordinating. And I think Hannah would be really good at that. But what's been interesting from the time after she stopped teaching and has done this marketing coordinator, and she just recently was promoted to marketing, or just to a strategist, is that I think she could handle some sort of role in that capacity as well. In fact, I think she would actually find more joy doing that than I think she would even I think she would like the programs with the kids, but I almost think, Melissa, it'd be tough for you to oversee an art person, because if they were doing a program totally differently than you would teach that art class, you'd be like, oh, I want to step in and do it. And so I think Hannah being further away from like a music program and instead running marketing or whatever would be something that would make a lot of sense to her. And so I think, it's the job she does now, so it's probably a bit of a cheat, but I think in some way managing the coordination of the marketing and the advertising of our programs and our events to our community, I think she could do really well at.
Yeah, I think about that, and I think of, and I don't know, Shane, if Pflugerville, if your recreation department if maybe the city has its own communications team, or if your
Our
department
city's
does.
comms
So you've got the
does
city
all of
comm
it.
team.
Yeah.
So smaller agencies, they might not even have a full agency comms team, let alone a Parks and Rec comms team. So I
Right.
see a consulting opportunity for Hannah and Melissa
For sure.
coming up,
Yeah.
finding these
That would
agencies
be,
that need someone
yes.
to spice it up a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give
So
you a
H&M
strategy
Consulting.
added to
H and
it.
M. I think there's a
I
trademark on
like.
that on H&M.
All right.
We'll
But
take
We'll
it.
make it work.
Yeah.
With the consulting part, that would
yeah,
Yeah.
she just
make
added
There you
that.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's play the game. It's a game I did not invent, but it's new to this show. It's called Who's Most Likely To?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so we're gonna ask you questions. We're gonna go back and forth, and I want you, since this is videoed, we're actually showing the video. So point. I don't know how to do this because you're not in the same room, but I want you to either wrong side. Yeah, Shane, go the other side.
Oh,
Um,
she's over there?
And again, I don't know how it's actually no, because it's going to show who's talking. So this is going to be a little more challenging. That's okay. We don't have to do it
What
at
if
the same
you
time.
could do? Well, you could like them or the other.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
self.
Point at yourself
Okay.
or up. Perfect. All right. Ready? Question number 1. Who's most likely to respond to a work email during a date? All right. Okay. That checks out. Shane is the winner.
All right. Who is most likely to say, "I'll be home in 10 minutes" and arrive an hour later?
I think we might see a theme here, Parks and Recreation. All right, all right. Shane took that one home too. Who's most likely to bring home a new project after a long day of work and continue to work on that project?
Yeah.
All right, Shane, once again. This is a good one. This is a good one.
All right. Who is most likely to pretend that they're listening while secretly checking a calendar?
Or email or something. Hannah, wow, both of you. Okay.
She doesn't listen to half the things I tell her the first time.
Let's say if it was social media, it would be me, but a calendar, it's definitely you.
Yes, yes. All right. Who is most likely to successfully pull the other one away from work when they're busy, whether it's a vacation or just in the moment? Who can pull the other person away easier? Okay. Hannah, okay, good.
I lost it. Where are we? All right, thank you. Who is most likely to say, "This is just how it is in Parks and Rec"?
That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shane, I'm with you. Okay. If something bothers either of you about the other individual's job, or just, I guess it could be family related, who's going to bring that up first?
Oh.
Oh. Okay, so you're both bringing it up according to this. I'm interested
gonna
to hear about that.
I'm going to complain about it and probably make some snarky comments.
That's
And
true.
Shane will like call a family meeting where we have to like sit and hash it out.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
the door.
The initial snark will come from Hannah.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to hold them in a little bit, so that wouldn't even be close
Oh, I'm
on our
always,
end.
I'm always the first one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm good about like
It's-
holding it in and then debriefing
It's
like in the
not-
car
With
soon.
Melissa, it's
Mm.
not just what bothers her about her, it's what bothers her about me. So it's
Oh, right. Yeah.
all of it. It's all coming out. Doesn't matter. It's all first.
Oh yeah. I can't hold anything in because I'll
Right.
fester. Like that's the problem. Like I will become a ticking time bomb if I hold it all in. So it's got to come out, like, or it's just gonna be worse the
I
longer.
agree. We're gonna talk about it if I'm thinking about it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is most likely to calm the other person down when something is bothering them at work?
Oh, calm the other person down. I think he calmed me down.
Well, you calm me down.
Well, that's good then.
Aw, that's a good
Yeah.
one. Look at you two. Man. All right. I got one more, and it's not a heavy hitter, but it's a fun one given the
Okay.
context. Who's most likely to still be hosting a podcast again next season, whenever that may be?
Oh man. I don't know. Me? I
Shane just
think
predicted the breakup of RecLess right there.
Oh,
Live.
oh
I mean, it's
no.
100. How much more can we do? We can't do this much longer, can
yeah, no, y'all will still be going. We'll see how far this goes. I don't know.
Oh, that was fun. All right. That was fun. I don't know if you'll ever do that segment again,
we?
and
That's
maybe
right.
there are better questions out there, but I enjoyed that
That
with
was
the two of you
That
because
was fun.
I know a lot about you both, but I don't know a lot of that nitty gritty, and that was really, really fun to put you both on the spot there.
Yeah,
And for the
that's
most
good.
part, you're both very cohesive. There was only a couple where you differed. So, congrats to you. This was an amazing episode. Not, I mean, for the audience, I just tried to take Melissa out
That's
of
right. That's
this.
right. We know who won't be
Her
hosting an
hosting
episode for you.
responsibilities are over. This was a really great episode. Again, not just for the audience, but for myself. And I don't want to speak for Melissa, but I really enjoyed learning a little bit more about you both. Um, you have some really great advice. We didn't ask that question because I feel like everything that we talked about can be looked at as advice for individuals navigating this world. So thank you for sharing and getting a little deeper inside of your relationship and how you've navigated this whole career and this Parks and Rec life for nearly, gosh, 25-ish years,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, 26 this year actually
26 this year, 21 we've been in the
in
industry.
Parks
Yeah.
and Rec. Yeah.
Thanks for asking us to be the ones to interview
Yeah.
guys, because like
Yes.
This was
Katie and
great.
Josh are a solid choice too, and feel honored because Katie's
This is great.
awesome.
No, I
No, you
really
guys,
enjoyed
Yeah.
you
this.
all are fantastic. This was a great conversation today. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And we love you both.
Yeah.
Love
We
to.
will talk to you all. I guess all of our listeners. We'll see you again next time on RecLess and this Parks and Rec Life. And then Shane and Hannah, we'll see you, I'm sure, sooner than later.
Yeah, you'll see
Bye,
All right.
everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
You can always call.